Aren't you tired of information? I feel like all day I'm just consuming information, whether it's tons of newsletters that I have left unread, podcasts I need to listen to, YouTube videos I've saved for later, articles people keep sending me, random BuzzFeed quizzes I should absolutely get to, and then, all these freaking books. I feel like we're constantly just consuming and consuming information. And it's crazy because I feel like it's making me stupider, actually. And to be honest, I felt like that for a few months now. And that's why I wanted to come on and share with you guys that what is going on, I think, behind the scenes as a generation that is obsessed with consumption, right? There's a lot to say that we were actually stupider now when we have all the world's information at our fingertips than even our parents were and our grandparents were when you had to go to the encyclopedia and the library to understand and their version of Google, right? And I know I'm not the only one who feels this way because I've talked to a lot of my friends and a few other people now, and I really do feel like I don't have any original thoughts. Like a lot of what I know and say and do is just a conglomerate of all the information I've consumed. And I'm not thinking about the information, right? Like I'll read about this diet online and I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's the best diet. I'll read about this one quote or this one area of expertise or this one fragrance or this one, whatever it is, right? And then I'll just understand that that is the truth or that's what it is. And some of the greats that I look up to that I want to be like, they're the thinkers, right? Like Naval Ravikant, like Jordan Peterson, Huberman, Tony Robbins. Like these guys really fundamentally, when they talk like they've really thought through stuff, right? They're not just taking a strong opinion that's controversial because they can. They've thought about it. And I don't think I think about anything, like if that makes sense. And I really want to stop doing that. And that's where I feel like I'm lacking. Like, what's the point of consuming all this information, right? If we aren't using it to become more intelligent thinkers of the universe? What's the point of just adding unoriginal ideas into the universe, being a ChatGPT human version, right? And let's not even start about ChatGPT. Like the fact that now we are even consuming more information that is robot made. We are not even consuming human information anymore. We're just over information, just drowning in it. And once again, I started going down this rabbit hole of do I even have original thoughts? Do I even think? What do I actually know? What do I believe is true, right? From what my own fundamental understanding of truth is, right? And I went to this conference called Building a Second Brain Summit. I'm into the productivity stuff, right? So this is the kind of shit I do. And I met this guy, his name is Nick Milo, and really interesting guy, right? And he has this program called Linking Your Thinking, which there was a course we got offered through the program called Note Making Mastery. And this course, note making, it's such an interesting term, right? Because it's so different from note taking. I didn't even know note making is like a thing, right? All I know is when I go do a course, when I buy the literally 30 courses I have that I spend thousands of dollars on that I never end up getting to anyway because there's so much information once again, I just take notes. When I listen to a podcast, I take notes. When I read a book, I sometimes take notes. That's all I do. But I don't make notes. And I remember when I did this course, it was such a fundamental aha moment, like such a shift. It was like this tap that I've turned off for so long. And it was just like rust was building up. It was like slowly loosen the faucet and ideas started trickling out. And this is what I mean by that. When I found this, I titled this video, right? Stop consuming, let's start creating, right? The only way to create thoughts or create things in this universe is to have original ideas. And the only way I've learned, even if you listen to Jordan Peterson, all these guys, they say the best thinkers in the world are those who write. It's the best way to understand, to process, to learn, to become a thinker rather than just a consumer. It's how you make that transition across that bridge. And in this course, No Making Mastery, I remember the first day when we had this cohort, he just said, write 4 notes or something, right? Some shit like that, right? And I remember I sat there in front of a blank page and I'm like, what the fuck do I write about? Like, I literally didn't know what to write about. I remember I'm in the Zoom chat, like, does anyone else feel this way? I feel this is a crippling problem of our generation, that we just don't have ideas. We're just ideas of other ideas, and those ideas formed by other ideas, and we're playing telephone with all these ideas until it comes to us, and then we're just spewing bullshit from some random influencer we just watched on YouTube or some random article we read. So I remember I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the hell do I write about? And I think it was around October time, so Diwali had just come. It's like this Hindu holiday. You probably heard of it, like the Festival of Lights. So I just wrote Diwali, and I was like, what do I think about Diwali? And then I was like, what the fuck do I write about again? So this, and then what it forced me to really just write some shit down. Right? And when have you ever done that, right? What do we do instead these days? We go to Google, we find something, we copy paste it, move it around, mix the words together, copy from Wikipedia, copy from here, put some words together. Or if you're even a little bit savvier, you just go to ChatGPT, have it write for you and wordsmith it a bit, right? We never really sit there and just write shit about what we think. And this exercise, though it was terrible because I had like a really, literally a chicken scratch. I'm just writing random thoughts, incoherent sentences. I literally felt like a 6-year-old kid like who got hit in the head too many times because I didn't even know what to write. But I did, right? There was no framework, there's no guidance, there's no essay I had to review, or there's no like reading I had to read on to give my thoughts on it. There was no video it was just me sitting there with my own thoughts and what do I think about Diwali. And I remember writing this and it was weird. And I did it again, and I did it again, and I did it again. And then I started seeing the power of this idea of writing. I started fleshing out my thoughts, these ideas. And then I started realizing why all the greatest thinkers in the world write. If you look back in history, like back in time, right? This is pre like maybe 40, 50 years. Men and women who were great thinkers wrote a fuck ton. That's all they did. They was just write. And I mean, even my grandfather, right? He's someone who I look up to, someone who's very intellectually forward for his time. I have one of his books here, actually. This is something I picked from his collection, right? And you will see here in the margins, he's just written notes just everywhere in the margins. Like if I just pull up to a random page, there'll just be and he's literally arguing with the author at points, right? Where I don't agree with this, I don't agree with that. If you look at Abraham Lincoln's old books or any of these other prolific people, they're literally arguing with the authors what they believe is true. When someone says something, they actually cross it out and they're like, you're literally stupid. I think Abraham Lincoln literally calls people idiots in the books he reads. But it's that challenging perspective that you know fundamentally what you believe and what you know because you just thought about it so deeply that you're able to do that, right? And I really want to get to that stage, right? And I really want to do that. So this no-making mastery thing was such a big aha unlock for me. And it really made me start thinking in a different perspective that I figured out why I'm not learning. It's because I didn't even know this idea existed that I had to note make, not just note take. And I'm slowly starting to get there. I feel like I am having ideas. And then you start becoming this person who starts linking ideas together that you never even knew have happened because you have this inventory of your own original ideas. I'm not just screenshotting someone else's image or someone else's screenshot or a quote of this or a quote of that. It's my own ideas and I'm filtering this garden, right? Because beforehand, what was I? I was the world's greatest digital librarian. I was making the best library in the world of all the interesting tidbits of ideas and all the highlights in my Kindle and just organizing them in a perfect way, tagging them and all this shit, right? Like all the productivity gurus would tell you, right? Like do this, do that, like tag, like, you know, that's what I was doing, right? But what's the fucking point of it if I don't use any of that? Just to have a really amazing, sexy looking library. What's the fucking point of that if I don't create? Even to create these videos, bro, I would end up still going to Google or doing my own research or just doing whatever I thought was right at the time, right? But I wasn't going into my knowledge source of all the tidbits even because they were not my ideas. And once again, it was this whole art, like this thing I've developed, right? Instead, now I have this flourishing garden that I'm slowly sprouting roots in, which will have my own ideas and my own thoughts, right or wrong, terrible writing or not. This is the fundamental place to start. And once again, this is how this process works, right? There's this famous quote, I think, by by Mark Twain, where he's sending someone a letter, right? I think it's by Mark Twain, and he said, "I'm so sorry I wrote you a long letter." He's sending his friend, like, "I'm so sorry I sent you a long letter. I didn't have the time to write a short one." And I think that's that beautiful saying is like the crux of what I'm trying to get at here is that it takes a lot of effort, time, and thought to condense your ideas into something meaningful in a small amount, right? So in this video, so all this said to inspire, to motivate you, to become a thinker, not a consumer, not to become a victim of content, just constantly scrolling, mindlessly consuming, shoving more metaphorical McDonald's burgers down your mouth. I mean, if I gave you a spray paint, you wouldn't go spray the inside of a church or a synagogue or a temple, right? No, that's what we're doing in our mind, that we're just spray painting the most valuable part of our body, which is our mind, with all this useless bullshit information and crap. So I want to motivate you to see like we need to write and create more, bro. Like this whole ChatGPT thing, this whole AI thing, the only thing that's ever going to stand out from the top now is thoughts and original ideas of your own ideas. The context that we apply to these information resources, these LLMs and stuff, is the only thing that's going to matter because those are the only things that are going to be original. Actually, what's going to be original is grammar mistakes. What's going to be original is the thoughts that you have in your own thoughts. Like I had this one moment where I literally realized so one of the things that Nick Milo talks about, like to become a better writer, is to give yourself prompts if you don't know where to start, right? And I'll leave a list down below of some of my favorite prompts to help you write. But the thing is, when you're forced with a prompt, your brain is forced to answer. That's just the way you're wired, right? So when I did Diwali, right, I didn't know what the fuck to write. I'm just sitting there, what do I think about Diwali? And one of the prompts he gave was, it reminds me of, or it's interesting because. And I said, well, it's interesting because, and then my mind is forced to answer, come up with something. Even if it's a terrible answer, it has to respond, right? So that's how you started writing, right? So I did these prompts, right? And I started learning that there is so much within me that I want to give up, right? Give out, right? And yeah, man, I'm just going, yeah, man, there's a lot to say about all this stuff, but I want to give you and help you walk away with some concrete examples of what you need to do, right? In order to start moving towards the trajectory, becoming a consumer, not a consumer, but a content creator. Not a creator as in a YouTuber, but a creator of ideas and thoughts and thinking. So when you talk to someone, you know where you're coming from because you have that place, that perspective that other people don't. Step one is to just don't read shit. Like the whole example of the synagogue and the church and all that stuff, like, don't read everything. Don't do everything. Instead, I'm literally handing you a freaking like a ticket to say, hey, do less. I think the issue is that we have 70 tabs open of things that we'll get to later. We never get to them, and then it takes up space in the back of our mind. Like a CPU just has the RAM is just burning up because I need to do that. I need to do less. Read less. Be extremely particular about what you put in your information brain and do only that, right? And because when you do that, these are gonna be high leverage tasks because you're not gonna just read it. I want you to take notes or learn or argue with the author. Don't agree with authors sometimes, right? But read less. One of the best ways I do that is there's a read later app called Reader that I use. I'll leave a link down below for you guys to check it out. But Reader is an incredible app because it gives you an ability. It's a Google Chrome extension where if an article or reading or something comes by, right, like a page or web page, you can just say add to Reader and it'll go there. So these must read things that you have to do in that moment, in that exact second, you can just like whoop, and then it'll just go there. And then you can read it later when you're on the subway, when you're in the bathroom, when you're walking, when you're doing something else, when you're right before, but then you start reading stuff there. So you can send tweets, you can send anything in Reader and just read it later. So the idea of realizing that you shouldn't consume information right then and there, but instead later, is such a freeing idea. Like same with YouTube videos. There's a watch later playlist that I just keep adding stuff to over and over and over again. I don't watch videos all the time. And honestly, I don't need to because sometimes when I go back to the list, I'm like, shit, I don't even know why I wanted to watch it in the first place. This is a terrible video. But in the moment, they're attacking me with copywriting, saying I need to read that or watch that video, right? So start realizing you can read stuff later or do stuff later and be very particular about what you let enter your mind, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is just genuinely writing more. This whole linking your thinking thing, when I was giving that example earlier about like the prompts that I used, right? This is where the original ideas start to surface by writing more, making it a habit, making it practice. Something we've lost in this generation, something we've lost as a society. It's just writing more and more interesting, thought-provoking ideas that we just don't do anymore, right? We just hear something, say to someone else. Hear something from that, say to someone else, right? So writing, making a daily habit. I remember reaching out to Nick and being like, all right, so I understand how to note make now. I understand the prompts. I understand how to use Obsidian a bit here and there. How to become a note maker. And his advice was really perfect. It was like, do it for a daily habit. Like just write, just fucking write every single day for 20 minutes until you build that muscle that you have ideas, that you have thoughts that you write. It can be just like a daily notes. It can be a freaking journal. It can be like so what I do is I have this is called like sacred writing hours that I do from 10 to 10:30. And I just sit there and write. Whatever I want to write about. Sometimes it's tending to an old note. Sometimes it's finding a new note. Some things about some shit I saw yesterday night in the movie, right? But I just write, and I do that every single day. And then I started making new connections. Like this is the first, like, ChatGPT ain't gonna do this shit. This is what I'm about to explain to you. I saw the movie Gladiator, right? So I was writing something about Gladiator, and I don't know how the fuck this happened, but while I was writing Gladiator, I remember a note I wrote about the Gita a few weeks back, and I linked them, meaning like, I made a comparison to Gladiator, the movie, and the Gita, and some similar principles that they shared. I feel like I'm the only person in the entire freaking universe who has connected ideas of the Gita and the movie The Gladiator by Scott Ridley. Like I'm the only person in the universe who has ever had that idea. And that made me so like happy. It was kind of weird. It was like this idea emergence happening, right? Like I was like, holy, like I could make a video on how the Gita how the Gladiator movie embodies the principles of the Gita, right? Like that would be fucking insane. And no one in the world's ever gonna make that video because that was purely from my own thoughts, my own creativity, my own understanding and beliefs, and my own perspectives of those ideas emerging from my own garden that I populated with my own notes, right? So we can get into what note-taking tools, this and that. Just start on Apple Notes, bro. Just start wherever for now, right? Just get into the habit of writing every single day for 20 minutes every single day. Whatever it is you want to write about, the book you read, whatever it is, right? Some shit that's annoying you at work, just write. And you will start to become a better thinker just automatically. It's literally the superpower. And then the third thing that I want you to walk away with in order to stop just consuming information and then stop being a victim, but being a creator, letting social media work for you and not against you, right? Is this quote that I heard by David Allen, which is the author of Getting Things Done, which is your mind is not meant for your mind's not meant for storing ideas. Your mind's meant for having ideas. I'll say it again. Your mind's not meant for storing ideas. Your mind's meant for having ideas. And this, when I heard this for the first time, it really blew my mind because I realized all I do when I read information is try to remember shit. Like I try to remember shit so I can use it in some quitty quip to someone else, or I can use it as or I'm remembering the calendar appointment or the date or something I read in a meeting or some bullshit analytics thing that I have to like all I'm doing is just remembering stuff, right? And if you do that, your mind is not, you're not letting the genius breathe when your mind is constantly preoccupied by other bullshit that you have to keep remembering. Whether it's something as small as I need to buy this on Amazon tomorrow, or something as big as I have this massive project due tomorrow, or like 3 years from now, or I have this, for me, it's like I need to plan this wedding next. Like there's always stuff in our mind. So I have a whole video on this actually. It's called like these 10 minutes will save you 10 years or something like that, where I learned, and this changed my life, and I hope it'll change yours as well, but how to build a second brain. And this is where the digital tools aspect, this is for you productivity nerds. This is where I talk about Readwise. This is where I talk about Evernote, exporting your notes, highlighting on Kindle, like creating an internal frame, like that's where I talk about that video. But in this video, I don't want to, that's a whole nother video, right? So I just want to tell you that concept that your mind's not for, it's just meant for having ideas, not storing ideas. And if you're not writing on something, like if your to-do list is in your mind and your calendar's in your mind and all the issues in your journal, like all the emotional clunk that's guttering up that little tap I was talking about is in your mind, you ain't gonna have any ideas or thoughts. You're not gonna do shit because your mind is so preoccupied with all this bullshit that's controlling you. So what's going to happen when you need to do high leverage, deep work? You're just going to go to ChatGPT and help it answer for you, which is not going to be the same, right? We're in this business for not having the best writing. We're writing as a tool to become a better thinker. It's a very different approach to life. But yeah, so I'll link that video. You can go watch that, but that's kind of how to build a second brain. If you love this, you're definitely love this. This is like very high level theory that's more practical about how to implement some of these things, right? But that one will show you then, okay, when you're reading books, how instead of worrying about the highlights and taking notes, how to automatically export that into a tool that you can search stuff in, like all that kind of stuff, that fun stuff there anyways. So all this to say, man, it's time to stop. It's just time to stop. Just stop consuming information. Stop watching TikTok bullshit, YouTube videos, reading and learning and doing all this crap that's for what? To build the most beautiful library of a mind you're never going to use. The only thing that matters today, especially in this world of AI, is having your perspective on things, your own original creative thoughts, your own ideas. It's to be note making, not note taking, as Nick Milo would put it, right? And this is a movement I want to try starting, and in order to hold myself accountable, because I also want to do this more of it, as I'm actually restarting my newsletter to write more. So if I'll leave a link down below. It's called Sid's 2 Cents. I'm restarting it. It's all about practical advice, terrible jokes, actionable wisdom, more productivity stuff like this. Hell, I'll throw in some men's lifestyle stuff in there, grooming, framing, whatever it is, right? Just writing, bro. So hold myself accountable. I'm gonna leave a link down below for my newsletter that I'm restarting. So if you want to connect with me, it would mean a lot if you can go join a little community of readers. And yeah, I would just love to hear from you. If you like an email, or, my content is shaped by what you guys think. So I'm starting a newsletter just to not just be a better writer, but to also connect with you guys. So like, go ahead and sign up, respond to me. We'd love to get to know you guys. And yeah, it's totally free. It's a free newsletter. Don't worry about that. And if you want to come even further, you can follow me on Instagram at Sid Chavla, where I have more behind the scenes stuff, daily stories, if you want to really see what I'm up to and connect with me and DM me there. Once again, if you like this video, definitely watch the 10 minutes will save you 10 years video. And guys, I'll see you in the next one. Keep crushing it. Guys, it's time to start creating. I'm holding myself accountable. Are you going to be a better thinker, or are you just going to be a mindless robot consuming other people's information and just spitting it out in another place? Take care, guys. Love you all. Peace.